Hello and welcome to a colour reading for July people to examine how your June 2026 will progress. This is Karen's Colours and I'm Dr. Karen. The colours that we looked at for May 2026 showed that there were a number of difficulties that we had to negotiate throughout that month. And if your month went smoothly, then wonderful for you. On the other hand, if it was a bit rough, let's see what June will bring for you, shall we? For myself, it started off smoothly enough and then gradually progressed further and further into the period in which I really started to reevaluate these readings. Are they in fact even valuable to people? I don't get much feedback, but if you're planning on making such feedback, please feel free. I'd like to hear from you. If you're new here, of course, you'd probably be a little confused. My colour readings are not all love and light and wishful thinking. I read the colours as they turn out. And if that's something that doesn't appeal to you, then perhaps a tarot reader might be more your style. So I guess we need to get started. Let's now look for some colours for people born in the month of July. And firstly, I want a combination that is your strength coming into the month. We have pink on brown. And now, what is the obstacle that you will be facing? We have white on white. And the underlying support energy that will come with you into the month is cyan on purple. Very well then. Stop those from falling off, shall we? The strength that you bring with you into the month, brown in the internal world, is a motivator. It's the motivator that says you have goals that you have set. You've decided that there are things that you want to achieve throughout your life, and in the real world, the way you are achieving those is not only accepting assistance from others, but being loving towards others as well. Pink in the real world as an action is all about kindness. It's about caring. It's about being able to show that the world sees you as someone who is a worthwhile and loving sort of person. The brown internally means that there is a directed energy about this lovingness. You want to achieve something and you do it by being kind to others. The obstacle that you're facing, however, is a rather interesting one because here we have white on white. Now, when the same colour occurs top and bottom in these colour circles, it means that there is a rigidity, an inability to change away from what those colours represent. And of course, white represents everything and nothing all at the same time. Here we have a situation, your obstacle is that there is a lot of unexpected stuff going to happen for you in the month of June. Things that you really find are totally out of your scope of practice, if you like, but also they are so unexpected and so unknown to you that they could create quite a lot of difficulty. After all, this is the obstacle that you need to overcome. So what is the supporting energy that will help you through this? Well, we have cyan on purple. When purple occurs in the internal world, it's about power. It's about you being able to maintain the fun in your life, the experiences that enable you to come back from any catastrophe that occurs because you have whatever it takes to put together those things that require you to be fun life. And in the real world, cyan says that that fun, that power that you have for yourself comes through as being able to create a great deal of peace and quiet and comfort in your life. There is understanding here, but there's also a great deal of bliss. So let's have a look at the colors that are missing to see what it is that we need to deal with. Right. There's no black, but you do have white. There's no red or yellow or green or blue, but you do have brown. There's no orange. There's no grey. You do have purple, and you have pink, and you have cyan. So these colours here are the ones that offer you the opportunity to take on other skills. And those skills, when placed in amongst this repertoire that you have here already for the month of June, will enlarge it so that you can do something different. These are supporting colours, supporting skills. Let's put those aside for a moment because I want to look specifically at these. What we have here is pink and brown as your strength. The obstacle is white, and the supporting energy is cyan on purple. Leaving aside the supporting energy for a moment, let's see what happens when we cross over the strength and also the obstacle that you're facing in June. And we do this by crossing over the underlying energy. Now, firstly, the underlying energy that is associated with your strength is when we cross the strength with the obstacle, we can have pink over white. Now, white internally is a feeling of emptiness, whereas here with brown, we had a feeling of needing to get something done. One of the ways that can occur for you is that you develop this sense of there's nothing inside. I need something to fill the space. You may even have had a flash of enlightenment or some sort of experience that's been totally outside of your normal way of dealing with things, which of course is what this as an obstacle tends to suggest anyway. When you respond to that with pink, it often means that there is a sudden ability or disability, if you like, of strength. Pink is a lack of red. It is a lack of ability to be in charge, to take your life in your hands and to deal with it impulsively or even just simply with a great deal of energy. So here we have a combination that is in fact a lack of energy. But it's also a lack of energy that comes through as pink in the real world being someone who not only gives out love, but also attracts it back again. So between these two, there is a chance that something will go your way in terms of maybe even some sort of legal issue, but certainly you will get your own way. This is a combination that is associated with justice. On the other hand, you could also have the white over brown. Now here, our need for developing some sort of goal and practical skill comes through as still that same need, but now there is an emptiness that follows. You want to achieve something, but what is it that you are trying to achieve? How do you go about finding the skills that are necessary in order to make that achievement possible? This is a slightly more complex and a more difficult way of dealing with things because in the real world, it doesn't really matter what you're trying. It doesn't seem to satisfy the goals that you have set for yourself internally. So what happens when we include the supporting energy? Once again, in order to do this, we swap over the drivers. And now, instead of having motivation and a goal that is activating your need to get out there and be nice to everyone, we now have power. You have a very directed opportunity here to use your own skills, your own capabilities, your own capacities in order to create something in the real world that enables you to get on with whatever it is that you want or desire in life. It still means that you're being kind to everyone and people are being kind in turn. But this combination, the pink and the purple together, is a combination of perseverance. Do you continue trying? You have the power, you have the magnetism that comes from that pink energy, which tends to attract people to you. It allows you to accept and also to give out help. So there is a continual way of trying again and again and again. Failure is not part of the repertoire here. On the other hand, you could also have cyan over brown. Now, brown, as we know, has to do with your goals and ambitions and your practical skills. And in the real world, if it comes through as creating bliss and harmony and contentment, it means that whatever it is that you are starting to do, whatever it is that you are aiming for and are learning about in the real world is actually creating for you the sort of harmony that you feel makes it all worthwhile. The journey is not in vain. What happens then if we take that underlying energy and we add it to the obstacle? Once again, we have this feeling of emptiness that can ensue, or even the sudden enlightenment, the sudden flash of recognition that you really are out of your depth here. In the real world, however, things are fairly stagnant, are fairly quiet. Nothing much is changing. So it doesn't matter how frightening or how exhilarating this flash of whatever it is that's coming towards you happens to be. In the real world, you still find yourself having every day pretty much the same. You're still in a state of contentment, even if that contentment is also associated somewhat with boredom, remembering that here we have the underlying energy crossing over with the obstacle that you are dealing with. On the other hand, we also can have the white over purple. Now, purple, the power internally to do what you want to do, to create the life that you want, to create some sort of enjoyment out of life, because that's what you're aiming for. That's what purple is often about. It's power to be in charge of yourself, and your actions in the real world are scattered in all sorts of different directions. And this combination has to do with sometimes self-defeat, sometimes addictive behaviors. Here you are doing the same things over and over and over again, not because they're getting you anywhere, which is what's happening here with the brown. When we had brown and white here in this combination, you were at least getting somewhere. But this is more a case of, you know what you've done in the past, and so now you keep repeating those things over and over. Is this self-defeating? There is a chance that it may be. So it's something you need to look out for. So how do we deal with this? Well, the easiest way to deal with it is to look at those colors that are missing. Black, the ability to withdraw, to move away from everything that is existing in your life, to take time out, to reconsider, perhaps even do some meditation. Red, being able to expend some energy, showing that you have what it takes to be able to deal with issues by being in charge of them. Green, recognizing and accepting and actually heading for any opportunities that may arise for you. Blue, knowing that you have got duties and responsibilities that need to be carried out. Orange, which is all about confidence and courage and being able to survive whatever is thrown at you. And finally, grey, the ability to find that middle road between the extremes of your experiences. Choose from amongst these the one colour that is most appealing and the one colour that is least appealing, and add them to your repertoire so that when you traverse through the month of June, you have additional backup skills that will help you overcome whatever this is going to be. And at the same time, lead you towards the sort of happiness and bliss that is there as a promise for you. Well, I guess that the color reading for this month is one that you can either take as a positive if things are going well for you, but for some of you, it's going to be something that is a bit of a struggle. That struggle continues on from what's been happening during the rest of this year. Let's hope that you can make something positive out of whatever your reading is, and specifically out of the colors that you have chosen to use as your treatment or therapy colors. Having a look at what is available to me this month, looks like it's going to be a repetition of what I had in May, and that wasn't easy to deal with. Still, I'm here, and hopefully I'll be back in July for another set of readings. In the meantime, may the colours of your life bring you all the joy and happiness that you deserve. And I'll catch you next time. Bye.